because you can handle the truth.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous? What if propping up repressive regimes in the Middle East endangers both the United States and Israel? What if occupying countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and bombing Pakistan is directly related to the hatred directed toward us? What if someday it dawns on us that losing over 5,000 American military personnel in the Middle East since 9/11 is not a fair trade-off for the loss of nearly 3,000 American citizens, no matter how many Iraqi, Pakistani, and Afghan people are killed or displaced? What if we finally decide that torture, even if called enhanced interrogation technique, is self-destructive and produces no useful information, and that contracting it out to a third world nation is just as evil? What if it is finally realized that war and military spending is always destructive to the economy? What if all wartime spending is paid for through the deceitful and evil process of inflating and borrowing? What if we finally see that wartime conditions always undermine personal liberty? What if conservatives who preach small government wake up and realize that our interventionist foreign policy provides the greatest incentive to expand the government? What if conservatives understood once again that their only logical position is to reject military intervention and managing an empire throughout the world? What if the American people woke up and understood that the official reasons for going to war are almost always based on lies and promoted by war propaganda in order to serve special interests? What if we as a nation came to realize that the quest for empire eventually destroys all great nations? What if Obama has no intention of leaving Iraq? What if a military draft is being planned for the wars that will spread if our foreign policy is not changed? What if the American people learn the truth, that our foreign policy has nothing to do with national security, that it never changes from one administration to the next? What if war and preparation for war is a racket serving the special interests? What if President Obama is completely wrong about Afghanistan and it turns out worse than Iraq and Vietnam put together? What if Christianity actually teaches peace and not preventive wars of aggression? What if diplomacy is found to be superior to bombs and bribes in protecting America? What happens if my concerns are completely unfounded? Nothing. But what happens if my concerns are justified and ignored? Nothing good. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Resurrect the Republic Truth Radio broadcast on the Republic Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Tom Lacavera-Stewart, joined by Lorri Anderson. And into the broadcast, we'll be joined by Eric the Freedom Screamer. We have a lot of content to cover tonight. Probably too much than we can get to. Folks, I'm going to ask you, let you know about resurrecttherepublic.chattango.com. Susie and CFR, we see you in there, and Susie, she broke my heart. I have some news. I talked to John earlier today, and it looks like we're going to be moving our time slot to the one vacated by Mike Herzog. And my best wishes to Mike. He was instrumental in helping me transition from one place to another in my first step here in Oregon. I hope that I do the time slot justice. It works out a little bit better in some ways, and it's going to be a little bit difficult in other ways to make the switch. But we're going to try and do the best that we can. We want you to know that we're going to be dedicated to bringing you a good, strong show regardless. Those of you that listen at night, I've heard back from a few of you that, I'm saddened to hear that you only really have an opportunity to listen live at night. I know the archives are out there. I know that doesn't really meet with everyone's satisfaction all the time. From what I've seen, they like to listen live, and that's cool. I really appreciate that. And we're sorry to throw your schedule for a loop there. We hope that you do join us in the new time slot during the day. And keep in mind, you can subscribe to our podcast. You can go to Resurrect, or you go to RBN Archives. You can get feeds from there. We're also on iTunes and iHeartRadio. We do have a backup channel, minus all of the subscribers and millions of views that we had on YouTube, but we do have a backup channel on YouTube titled RTR Truth Media Reloaded that we just put out there. We're going to be on Steemit, and we are on Steemit and DTube. We're going to start operating on those platforms as well, and all of the addresses at RTR Truth Media, at RTR Truth Media. So BitChute as well, BITCHUTE.com, BitChute.com, the RTR Truth Media channel. So we're trying to diversify on platforms. We may not get, the mass wave of views and subscribers that we had built up on Google, but I learned a valuable lesson with Google. I was always, being worried about what I could say and what I could do and what could take a strike. And you know what? The one thing about Steemit, DTube, and these other platforms is I just don't give a damn. I will say whatever needs to be said. I will not have my speech silenced or chilled by the threat of a possible loss of a channel. It's just not going to happen anymore. I'm done with that. So anyway, we will be moving to the new time slot for those of you that just popped in. We're at resurrecttherepublic.chattango.com. And, for those of you that can't catch my show during the day, still stay in touch with me at rtrtruthmedia@gmail.com. So anyway, Lorri, I think that you had some things prepared for the beginning. You want to take it away?
I do. And I want to wish Mike Hartzog the best. I really do. He really pulled through while you were on the inside. And I really hate to hear that he is, even though we're going into that slot, I really hate to hear that he's not going to be there. So I wish him the best, absolute best. So, yes, absolutely, Tom, of course. I like to cover what nobody else covers. So I want to let everyone know, please listen up, especially if you're in the state of Wisconsin. This will possibly affect you, and maybe not. Many of you are already aware that over the years there have been a lot of what is called a Grid X drills, and nothing bad has happened through those Grid X drills. So I want to make this clear. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I am making you aware of an upcoming drill so that just in case you already know what is going on. So this drill or this exercise is called Dark Sky. This was put out by the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs. And what I am going to be quoting to you is put out on April 23rd, 2018, and it was written by Captain Joe Tyranny of the Wisconsin National Guard. So I'm going to quote to you exactly what they wrote about this drill. It's extremely important for you to understand that it's going to be there. That way, there are no surprises just in case there is a power outage, because this is a power outage drill. So in Madison, Wisconsin, a full-scale training exercise simulating a long-term massive power outage in Wisconsin kicks off May the 15th at sites around the state. Known as Dark Sky, the exercise runs May 15th through the 17th in Brown, Calumet, Dane, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, Outagamie, and Winnebago counties, and will test the abilities of private utilities, law enforcement, first responders, and National Guard to respond to the scenario, as well as its second and third order effects. The public should not be concerned. Now, you're going to love this, Tom. The public should not be concerned if they notice an increased emergency responder presence, military personnel, vehicles and equipment, or non-military unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, operating in their communities during the exercise. The exercise includes an Alliant Energy facility in Fond du Lac County, which will serve as one of the National Guard training sites. The goal of the exercise is to increase understanding of the coordination policies and procedures required to conduct a joint interagency response to cyber and physical threats to critical infrastructure in Wisconsin. Quote, Dark Sky provides an incredible opportunity for our first responders, the National Guard, emergency management officials, and our private utilities industry partners to exercise our processes now so we are better prepared for threats to our power grid, unquote, Major General Don Dunbar said. Wisconsin's Adjutant General said, quote, our emergency management community must be prepared to deal with the Madrid scenarios and challenges posed by long-term mass power outage, and by training together we continue building meaningful relationships that leave us better positioned to respond to a real-world situation, unquote. More than 1,000 participants from the State Emergency Operations Center, the Business Emergency Operations Center, and the Wisconsin National Guard, County Emergency Operations Centers, municipal command posts, the American Red Cross, and federal agencies will participate in the exercise. The Dark Sky scenario includes a variety of incidents that require local, county, and state level response operations designed to exercise each participating unit and agency. The Wisconsin National Guard will exercise its joint staff and the National Guard Reaction Force in support of private utilities partners, non-governmental organizations, and local, county, state, and federal agencies for infrastructure security. As part of the exercise, Wisconsin National Guard soldiers will conduct door-to-door health and welfare checks in Omero, Wisconsin. The exercise, will also test.
That worked out
right.
real well for that little old lady that had the unloaded gun in her hand in New Orleans, right?
In Katrina, right?
Yeah.
The exercise will also test the abilities of public and private sector partners to work directly with local citizens impacted by critical infrastructure failures and to coordinate critical fuel distribution, cyber response, intelligence sharing, and mass care shelters, as well as procedures for opening and operating the state's Business Emergency Operations Center. The exercise represents the final phase in a series of related exercises that culminate in Dark Sky. In November of 2017, the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs and private utility partners conducted GridX in Columbia and Dane counties. GridX also simulated a cyber and physical threat to the power grid, resulting in a Wisconsin National Guard response. In February, the annual statewide Inoperable Mobile Communications, or SIMCOM, exercise simulated a national winter ice emergency that affected 600,000 people and disconnected power to about 50,000 people. The relationships developed between the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs and private utilities in Wisconsin during the previous exercises have further honed public-private response capabilities and laid the groundwork for continued success in the Dark Sky exercise. Now, I want to be clear before I even go further with this, because I have a little bit more to go on a different link that is still from the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs about the door knocking. It is imperative that, yes, non-government organizations, local citizens, and churches and stuff like that have the ability, if something goes down, that they have the ability to respond in the manner in which they do. If they were just doing that on a statewide level, I don't think I would have such an issue with it, Tom. However, when you're bringing in federal agencies, I have a bit of an issue with that because sometimes, not every time, but sometimes it turns into false flag events. And this is one of the reasons I'm making everyone aware of this drill. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I want to make people aware this drill is going to happen. And one of the things that really got me when I was reading this, of course, they said, quote, "The public should not be concerned if they notice an increased emergency responder presence, military personnel, vehicles and equipment, non-military unmanned aerial vehicles, drones operating in their communities," in other words.
We have now become normalized.
Right. Can we talk desensitization? Even if the grid does not go down, which it probably won't go down, but if it does, right? They are desensitizing people that this is normal, and it is not. It is good and great to train and to make sure that everybody can be taken care of. However, when you start pulling federal agencies in that have no business being there in the first place, because it's the state and local communities that really need to pull in to help the people,
Yeah, they've only had 40, 50 years to prepare. Sorry.
Well, when you're intentionally putting the power grid on a network that is Wi-Fi that can be taken down with an EMP, you might have a little bit of
it even goes deeper than that, Lorri, the power
process
grid.
Problem. It's kind of common sense, but of course it goes much further.
That's just Wi-Fi communications. Yeah, the electricity in and of itself isn't protected very well. That's a whole other story for another night. But yeah,
right, because they put it online like ding dongs. Anyway, so the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs also in relation to this have an article. It's called National Guard to Canvass Amero as part of the Dark Sky exercise. So I want everyone around there to be aware of what is going on. Now, it says Madison, Wisconsin, approximately 110 Wisconsin Army National Guard soldiers will partner with local emergency management, fire, and police from the city of Amero, Winnebago County, and American Red Cross to go door to door in Amero, Wisconsin on May 16th as part of the full-scale training exercise known as Dark Sky.
Yeah, and if you guys want the links to some of this news that's being dropped right now, it's being dropped right now in the Chitango, resurrecttherepublic.chitango.com chat room. So
right, and it will also be under the show for everybody as well.
Yep.
So it also states local residents can expect to see soldiers canvassing neighborhoods. Knocking on doors, speaking with residents, and passing out emergency preparedness information as part of the exercise during the afternoon hours of May the 16th.
Federal?
I think they're referencing Wisconsin Army National Guard right now. And then, of course, along with the American Red Cross. Oh, yeah, that would be the same American Red Cross that had to have help. What was that? Sandy? Wasn't it Sandy that the Anons helped the American Red Cross and FEMA because they came unprepared? Yeah, okay. I regress. So residents may participate in a voluntary survey about smoke detectors. What does that have to do with the power grid going down? I'm just asking.
Right.
The American Red Cross will dispatch volunteers to help resolve smoke detector issues. What?
Yeah, to get into your house.
Right. Residents who are not
You're not coming in my house. That's just, no. Thank you, no.
Right. Okay, so here we go. Residents who are not home during the canvassing period will still receive an emergency preparedness information at their doors and may still choose to participate in the survey by calling 211. There is no threat to the public, and the local residents should not be alarmed or concerned if they see an increased law enforcement or military presence in Amero May 16th.
We could go.
Right. So, of course, they say that the purpose of the exercise is to aid in the readiness and safety should a major crisis arise in the city. But we're going to ask you about your smoke detectors.
Oh, God. We got to take a break, folks. We'll be right back. Resurrect the Republic Truth Radio broadcast on RBN.
This is the most transparent administration in history.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have? Do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
Welcome back, Resurrect the Republic Truth Radio broadcast on RBN. I do believe we have a caller on the line already. Well, why don't we take this short break to take our caller? Who's on, Bill?
Sounds good.
Yeah, good evening, Lorri and Tom. Another good
evening.
show.
Good evening,
I
thank
just
you.
want to point out, Lorri, that town is pronounced Omro.
Omro?
Omro.
Omro. Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Omero. But, yeah, I was aware of this, heard about it, and again, I actually serve on the Emergency Management Committee in the county in which I live.
Okay.
And,
Good for
they
you.
purchased a drone. I voted against it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm town chairman. I said people in my town have said that if they see a drone overhead, they're going to shoot it down.
Are they going to get that drone hunting license?
Pardon?
Good for them.
Yeah.
She said, are they going to get a drone hunting license?
No. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So anyway.
So question, Bill, real quick.
I have the same concerns that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it looks, like it's something that statewide in preparation. But like you say, they could involve it, into something more. Now, this general area is a highly populated area. I can't imagine, if they take the grid down, just how bad that's going to affect everything. So, this is a major concern that we've had on the farm in which we live. Well, what's going to happen if we're 20 below outside and they decide to pull the plug on the electrical grid? While we've taken some steps, and we try to get ready for all of these contingencies, they're probably not all foolproof. So we do what we can. But, this is, all of these drills are a dangerous precedent, and I agree with you, desensitize the people, have them used to, all of the military uniforms. I sure wouldn't want that in my local town, knocks on the door, and we want to make sure that, you have a smoke alarm or whatever.
Right, and I've got a question for you, Bill, because here's my thought pattern on this. Remember the flooding in Texas?
Sure.
There were civilians out rescuing people who were trapped and could have drowned. They were stopped by individuals from the federal agencies from going in and rescuing people. That's my issue. I believe in training and protecting your communities full force. I do. But when you are pulling in these non-government organizations that are connected with the federal government and then the federal government themselves who every
United Nations.
time you turn around, every time you turn around and the federal agencies are involved, people are stopped from helping individuals that really need help. That is my concern with this. What do you think? Are you on the same thought process as I am?
Oh, absolutely. You know what, the deep state wants for our country. They want misery. They want loss of life. They want eventually absolute control over all of our lives. So, this is standard, in these operations. You look the way Katrina played out.
Lord, yeah.
And the fact, that they can now control the weather. Like I said, a couple weekends ago, we had 20 inches of snow. Nobody up in this area, old farmers, and believe it or not, there's some older than I am, but, they've said, I don't ever remember this. Now, what impact is this going to have on planting, on getting crops available, decrease in yields, and I know most of what they plant is not good, but there are, small farm units. They're not being pushed by the state. They don't get the grants. They have to work out and then come home, and then they're not allowed to deduct their farm expenses, as a farm because they have wages, and this is all set up, but they still love to be on their little farms, raising some beef, have an organic garden, all of this type of thing, which I believe if we, let the people, do what they want on their land and so forth, and we had reasonable tax laws.
Hold on right there for 1 minute, Bill. We've got to go to break, but we'll be right back. Please hang with us, and we'll be right back after a couple of words from our sponsors.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Many people write about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you a few from Amazon.com. My wife and I both use Extendivite and are very pleased with the results. It has helped to stabilize our blood pressure and to make both of us feel healthier. Good product and good buy. So far, so good. I've been taking Extendivite 3 times a day, only a short while now, but already I've noticed the circulation in my hands and feet improving. They tingle. I like the idea of taking something herbal rather than pills. I take Extendivite 3 times a day, every day. I think this supplement has helped with my increased fitness regime and to lower my blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. May 5th is the last day you will hear this offer on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Resurrect the Republic, Truth Radio broadcast on RBN. We're back. I think we still have Bill on the line. Lorri, you want to take the lead there?
Absolutely. So, Bill, I wanted to read a little bit more, and then I wanted your opinion on this because you are over there, and I want to thank you also personally for correcting me on that pronunciation. Omro. So I really do appreciate that. I really do. So what it also states in here, and I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tell you my concern with it, and I think it's probably your same concern as well, because you are over in that area. It says, the goal of the exercise is to increase the understanding of coordination, policies, and procedures required to conduct a joint interagency response to cyber and physical threats to critical Wisconsin infrastructure. Okay, so far that sounds really good to everybody. Then you read down. It says the State Emergency Operations Center, Business Emergency Operations Center, Wisconsin National Guard, County Emergency Operations Center, Municipal Command Post, and here we go again, federal agencies will participate in the exercise. Now this is the main concern is these two little paragraphs I'm going to read to you. The dark sky scenario includes a variety of incidents that require local, county, and state-level response operations designed to exercise each participating unit and agency. The Wisconsin National Guard will exercise its joint staff and the National Guard Reaction Force in support of private utilities partners, non-governmental organizations local, county, state, and federal agencies for infrastructure security. As part of the exercise, Wisconsin National Guard soldiers will conduct door-to-door health and welfare checks in OMRO. The exercise will also test the abilities of the public and private sector partners to work directly with local citizens impacted by critical infrastructure failures and to coordinate critical fuel distribution, cyber response, intelligence sharing, and other resources, as well as procedures for opening and operating the state's Business Emergency Operations Center. Here's my concern. The way that it is worded. If it is an exercise that is not actually going to shut down any power, then you're not going to have local citizens that are actually impacted. You're also not going to have the local citizens impacted by critical infrastructure failures. You're not going to have citizens needing to coordinate critical fuel distribution, cyber response, and intelligence sharing. You're not going to need, and their excuse for knocking door to door, I understand you need to train and you need to practice, yes. But to ask about fire or smoke alarms, are you kidding me? The American Red Cross, if you don't know about the American Red Cross, we don't even have time to go in that tonight. American Red Cross shouldn't have anything to do with anything about this stuff because they are so far down that rabbit hole with misspending money and not taking care of people when the emergencies really do. Now, I'm not talking about volunteers on a local level. I used to volunteer for the American Red Cross on a local level, and I went out there, and a lot of individuals who are on a local level will volunteer for the American Red Cross and do a lot of good. So I'm not talking about this individual. So right, we're talking about the higher ups that give me the money, and they never put it into what is actually needed. Bill, is that one of your concerns as well? That not only the desensitization, but the way that they are wording this, because you are in that area, the way that they're wording this, does it appear that they may consider a power outage and then try to blame it? Because all the deep state stuff going on right now, and those bombs going over to Syria right now, the stuff with Kim Jong-un and the peace talks, that's perfect timing for a false flag attack to blame it on Kim Jong-un so that the peace talks fall through. What do you think?
Well, that might be a bit of a stretch, but it is always possible that they could manipulate this scenario with a false flag. Like I said, the area that they're talking about there is highly populated, and it, especially, you mentioned Milwaukee, right?
Yes.
Yeah, oh brother. Now, there's all sorts of problems in the city of Milwaukee. Okay, there's a strong Black Lives Matter group there. There's a mayor that's in the left field. Okay, we recently had a Supreme Court election. Okay, on Tuesday a couple weeks ago, and Joe Biden and Eric Holder came in and endorsed a candidate, and that was the one that won.
Oh,
now,
Lord.
On that day, we had a lot of snow up our way. And generally, even though the other candidate, wasn't the best, I would have preferred him, to this gal that won here, because it's going to impact our laws and so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's entirely possible to have a false flag. They go on all the time. I'm suspecting, almost any minute that we're going to have something like that, to throw the whole economy into a tailspin. We're hanging on the cliff now. Mm-hmm. Okay, I try to emphasize that on the county board. We vote to put any county funds in banks. Okay, well, I wanted them in local banks so that they could make loans here. Well, then what they were doing, they were shipping it out all over the place. I said, how many of you county board members were aware that our funds, which we had in local banks here, were going all over the place? Raise your hands. They had no concept that this is happening. So, I don't know. It's some days I feel as though I'm beating my head against the wall, but somebody's got to do it. I was talking about a way out, to have small farmers, few cows, chickens, organic garden, be able to claim that they are a farm. See, now because they work out, then they're classed a hobby farm. Well, that shouldn't be, okay? So all the grants and all the support on a state level go to these huge factory farms. 1,000, 2,000 cows. They're draining the water out of the water table. They're polluting everything, whereas if we had small farms, everything would, take care of itself on the land itself. We are against all of the regulations that come with Agenda 21, and I campaigned on a town level against smart growth. We pulled out of county zoning. We have very lenient, I would use the word liberal, but lenient's better, zoning rules, strictly setbacks. Let the people do what they want. They're paying the taxes, and it's proven to be very, very popular. Well, then the county
Liberty
says,
usually is.
We're concerned about nutrient management. We're going to start coming and looking at what you're doing with your manure. And I said, if you're coming on my property to tell me, and I said this at a county board meeting, to check the flatulence coming from my cows, I said, be prepared, because your head will be stuffed up the back end of that cow so that you can get a very close analysis of what's going on. So,
exactly, because they have no right to come on your property unless they have a warrant. They have no right.
We do have a constitutional sheriff. In 2010, we had Richard Mack in here, and on a town level, we had hundreds of people. He spoke to about 5 or 6 county sheriffs, and I wasn't at that thing. I wanted to be a fly on the ointment. But the trouble is, our sheriff is retiring. Now, the guy that he has endorsed, I think, will be okay. And, we've been told that if the census people come to the door, you call the sheriff's office, they'll send a deputy out, tell them to leave the property. So,
good for him.
We're doing here what we can, and if the NSA is listening in tonight,
well, we know they're listening.
Did you just blow raspberries?
I did it.
That's wonderful. I want to thank you so much for calling in, Bill, and letting people know about this and the concerns locally, since you're there, basically boots on the ground over there, and
I've got friends
letting them know about
in
this.
that area, and I'm sure they're already working on things. I haven't talked to them yet, but I will.
Right.
I got some friends out there in Wisconsin that are John Birch Society members. Long-term friends of mine, and they've been warning us. Good God, they've been warning us for 50, 60 years about the build-up.
Magazine, New American.
Oh, it's a great magazine. Great. I very much enjoy reading it. I'm not a member of groups anymore. I've decided that it's just not my thing. But I tell you what, there's nothing I can find really in their material that I disagree with, and what I see going on all over
pro-Israel, but
but that is part and parcel for the for the majority of the conservative Christian community. We're working on that. We're working on it, and I have friends that are John Birchers who are aware. So I mean, you have to understand mass propaganda that the mainstream media throws out and bonks you over the head with. We talk about political correctness, and now they're talking about political correctness going amok. Well, anti-Semitism was the outbreak of political correctness. I mean, you say anything bad about Israel, anti-Semite, Jew-hating, come on. I mean, really? And the same people, and this is what Fox News drives me crazy. I'll watch Fox News, and they will castigate liberals for silencing free speech, which of course needs to be done. But then they'll turn around and whack somebody in the head with the anti-Semitic card. Like, you're doing the same thing. That's an ad hominem attack. You're making a judgment based. You're basically slurring them. You're attaching a label to them to discredit what they have to say. Why don't you listen to what they have to say first?
Well, I think a lot of them too, Tom. I think a lot of them too, for whatever reason, have in their mind that you're attacking the whole, and they don't realize that everyone is human and makes mistakes, and some people are just flat out evil. And to be under the impression that just because they're in the government position inside of Israel that they have to be good because they belong to Israel, that is a false notion in and of itself. And no matter what part of the world it is, our listeners know that we speak out against anything that is wrong. We're not left, we're not right, we're not Republican, we're not Democrat. We are those truthers. Oh my goodness.
We want truth.
We want truth.
Can I say
I
am conservative-ish? Yes. As a matter of fact,
likewise.
A very good friend of mine just
good material, every issue in American Free Press. So.
And again, there are some things that I not necessarily completely agree with in there. So, one thing that we've been conditioned in as a society, take the American Free Press, for instance, a good example. I agree with a lot of the articles in the American Free Press. There's a couple I don't agree with. But you see, this is what these authoritarian, totalitarian collectivists do. If there are a number of articles that you agree with in it, you subscribe to the entire thing, and they can label you with anything that's said in it. I love how that works. I really, it blows my mind how that works.
Well,
I'm the same way.
You and I are on the same radio show, and we don't agree all the time.
Yeah, this doesn't apply to mainstream publications, because mainstream publications have come out leaving kernels of truth here and there. So what does that mean? Oh, do you believe that climate change isn't real? Because, the New York Post happened to run something a couple of years back that said, there was science that said, no, you see, it's a false argument they always make. It's why RBN exists, so that we can come and tell the truth. I don't care if it's net and nitwit, or if it's Obama, Trump, Bush, or any of the other, the Queen of England, the Pope. I'm an equal opportunity criticizer.
Amen to that.
Let me just digress one moment. I am what's called a traditional Catholic. Since Vatican II, in 1960 to 65, the church then became openly subverted, none of the occupants of Rome from that time, John the 23rd and on, okay, are valid popes. In other words, and especially Francis. If there ever was a false prophet, he is the one. Okay?
You know, and just I was born and raised Catholic. I was, baptized, confirmed, went to Catholic school, all of that.
Yeah, but you're pretty young, right?
Well,
How old are you?
I'm young, but I was raised by my grandparents.
Yeah,
and
you were probably raised in what we call the conciliar church. False doctrine, every bit of it.
Well, good, because I rejected it. I rejected it.
Take a peek at this.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for your call.
CMRI.org.
All right. And thank you so much, Bill, for your call. We have to get to a couple of words from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Hang with us.
Are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Do you or someone you know suffer from chest pain, blood pressure, cholesterol, or irregular heartbeat? Are you looking for a more natural solution to overcome these health challenges? You hear the ads all the time. If this stuff's so good, why doesn't my doctor prescribe it? That's easy. Doctors are not trained in natural medicine. Extendivite Heart Tonic does want you to be as healthy as you can be, and it really works. Take Extendivite for 6 months and your doctor will say, I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop. It's working for you. Get the dependability of Extendivite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
God bless Texas.
Well, I'm flooding down in Texas.
What an appropriate song, huh?
Right?
All of the power lines are down. Welcome back, Resurrect the Republic. Truth Radio broadcast on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Yeah, that's some of my music, folks. I hope you like it. We're going to be using more and more of it as I record more. Anyway, I think that was that song. All the telephone lines are down. Oh,
right.
Okay, now.
So I just wanted to, before you go into the rest, I just want to remind everybody the actual locations of the drill, and then we can change topics. Sound good, Tom?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the full-scale exercise runs May 15th through the 17th, in case you missed it. It's going to be held in Brown, Calumet, Dane, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, Outagamie, Winnebago Counties, Amaro, excuse me. Thank you to Bill, who corrected me on that one. And it is going to have involved, of course, the Wisconsin National Guard soldiers. They are going to be conducting door-to-door, quote-unquote, health and welfare checks in Amaro. So I wanted to let you know there will be links below the show as well as links below the Spreaker. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yes, that is right. And right now I'm looking at the dark sky report from Wisconsin, from the Department of Military Affairs, Wisconsin. Scott Walker, Governor. Dark sky exercise slated for May 15th to 17th all across the state. Full-scale training exercise simulating long-term mass power. We know that. Known as Dark Sky, the exercise runs May 15th through 17th in Brown, Calumet, Dane, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, Outagamie, Winnebago counties, and will test the abilities of private utilities, law enforcement, first responders, National Guard to respond to the scenario as well as its second and third order effects. Public should not be concerned if they notice an increased emergency responder presence. You've already heard all that stuff. This will all be posted. And, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this because in this, it doesn't stress federal, and it doesn't. I'm very interested if the United Nations or how deeply the federal government is involved with this. I mean, is this a state exercise? What is Dark Sky?
If it's Grid X, it's definitely federally connected, and they say that the federal partners are going to be involved in it. And if you remember, Tom, when we were digging into Jade Helm 15 a long time ago, they loved that quote, interagency partners.
Yes, interagency partners. This is what our founding fathers, look, and this is what, I don't want to do the doom and gloom and fear porn here, but, there was a reason our local governments used to stand as a check and balance against this.
That's right.
Standing armies. Makes me very nervous, no matter the intention.
Absolutely.
We'll be back after a few words from our sponsors, folks. Resurrect the Republic, Truth Radio broadcast on RBN.
Interested in photo ops.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you one from Amazon.com. I just wanted you to know I saw my doctor and I laughed because he said, "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it." I have been taking Extendivite. I had borderline high blood pressure, heart flutter, high cholesterol. I changed my diet and included Extendivite with an amazing turnaround for the better. A few months later, I had a doctor's appointment and took a stress test. I passed. No heart flutter, blood pressure was perfect. My doctor even took me off my medicine. I thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. This stuff works, and I'm so grateful for Extendivite. Thank you, Justin G. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests?
Welcome back,
What if we
folks.
wake up one day and realize that the terrorists...
Resurrect the Republic Truth Radio broadcast on RBN. I never get tired of hearing that speech. Really don't. God, I love that speech. Dr. Paul hit it out of the park with that one. Anyway, so, as I was on this site, checking this out, this dark sky, I saw Wisconsin Task Force 1 deploys to Florida, right? So I clicked on that, and it shows how they, the relief efforts to Hurricane Irma. And, here's the question I have about this. Not that in a bad disaster, it wouldn't be good to have a neighboring state come in and help you.
Right.
But and I know all of the good intentions. There's so many good people involved and just want to help people involved in these different programs. So I don't want to sit here and just say, "Oh, this is just all evil." I know that there are so many people. I'm a former firefighter. I get it. Being prepared is important.
It's imperative. What
I have a problem is, why aren't they teaching people how to be self-reliant, okay, and to be prepared in their self-reliance, okay, and to provide them training for that self-reliance instead of preventing them from being able to grow what used to be known as victory gardens, and doing their own solar and their own water collection. I mean, this is something that has been an assault on people, especially in California. California, we really got to see people that wanted to live self-sufficient. They had these bureaucratic boards come in and just all but completely stop that from happening. And it's the same crowd that's pushing environmentalism. Now, wait a minute. These people are getting off the grid. They're using the sun for power. They're growing gardens in their yard locally. And it's still a problem. See, this is the problem with government
because they can't control them.
Right, and that leads me to where I was going with this: is central planning. And it goes back to the Promise Grant program and all of the flowery speech. They were going to eliminate the school to prison pipeline for 100 million reasons the government can give you that they're planning something that's good, right? But when it turns bad, it turns really bad.
Yes, it does.
And it has a force behind it that cannot be stopped. And we saw this in Katrina. I know I keep going back to Katrina, but this was all of this, we're going to disarm the people. Nobody will have arms. And little old ladies getting beaten to the ground. Typical normal law-abiding citizens, they're passing by in their boat, moving their firearms. Instead of leaving their guns smart, instead of leaving them at the house that they just vacated, they pack them up and bring them with them. They have them seized, confiscated, don't even have a property slip given to them. That's the deprivation of property without due process. So only showing, again, this martial law attitude, this totalitarian attitude that's been developed. You have a bunch of guys going down the river in a boat that aren't bothering anybody, harming anybody, or hurting anybody. Go find somebody that needs help.
Right.
And this is the problem that we have when we place military who have been trained in a completely different manner. And this is why we had the Posse Comitatus Act. This is, we're not supposed to have standing armies. And if a state needs to build up a National Guard, I don't really agree with National Guard, but local militias, the local militias should have detachments in every county, and they should be sufficient enough and supplied enough to be able to respond to their local county for any instance of needed help. And that is when you have a hurricane or something that, say, hits Florida, you can lean on Georgia or Louisiana or another neighboring state, if another neighboring state so chooses to give assistance and they're not going through a crisis or emergency. But when you have this is the problem I have with Wisconsin. Wisconsin goes all the way to Florida to help them with a hurricane. Well, what's to say this doesn't go on when they start confiscating firearms? Now that they have the infrastructure built up, the command and control infrastructure is really all I'm focusing on. I could really care less whether it was the power grid or it was alien invasion from space or whatever justification they wanted to give it. I'm concerned when they built this infrastructure and this network, what they're going to do with it. Now, when they say that they're going to be doing things, but then you hear people like Dianne Feinstein saying, Mr. and Mrs. America, give them all in, and you see places in Illinois and other places out in the heartland banning AR-15s in complete violation of the Constitution. Those people should be jailed for treason.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about local government. It's gotten down to the point where everything almost everything has to be dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. But I mean, my answer to all of this is just no. This should be. I mean, this should be taken care of county to county, state to state, and there is no reason for federal oversight. All that does is take money from people's pockets in the states to hand it to the federal government to perform a proposed service that they could have saved a whole lot of money, less bureaucrats and middlemen by just using that money in their own states.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that simple. Isn't that? Am I crazy?
No, you're not. I've got some other information for you, Tom.
Go ahead.
Guess who's back in the news?
Oh boy. Who?
Broward County Sheriffs.
Again? I missed that one.
Oh, yeah. April 24th, this was reported just 2 days ago. There was a new report issued Tuesday that said the first deputies to arrive at the scene of February 14th massacre inside the Florida high school hid behind their patrol cars and a nearby tree. They did not enter the school until after the gunmen had left the building.
What are you telling us that we don't know already?
Oh, just wait, because it's going to get better. The report from Coral Springs officer Brian Wilkins details how he arrived at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School within minutes of the active shooter alert, only to find the Broward County Sheriff's officers had not entered the school but were instead taking cover. Quote, I saw approximately 4 Broward County Sheriff's Office vehicles parked in the westbound lane with their personnel taking up exterior positions behind their vehicles, Wilkins wrote. Quote, I drove up just west of the campus building, 1200, exited my vehicle, grabbed my AR-15 rifle, and donned on my tactical/medical gear, unquote.
Donned, yeah.
So here's 2 things, because I'm going to go further, because there's other news too. However, notice that Wilkins grabbed his AR-15. Well, I thought it was a military weapon. I thought that AR-15 had no place on our streets in America. Now, if it's good enough for self-defense for the police, do you think it's good enough for us? Well,
they don't have any more. See, this is the problem that I have with the modern concept of American policing. We have, and I have this whole issue with municipal law enforcement as opposed to county sheriffs who are underneath an elected official rather than a political appointee. But I have a real problem with municipal structures because, as we've seen with the gentleman that went across the nation, going into police department after police department trying to file a complaint against an officer and finding the official process. And many states, like my state of New Jersey, have an official process, and that process they have to take the complaint. There's paperwork to be filled out. There's no pressure there. They're supposed to be involved. It's supposed to be reported quarterly to the Attorney General's office. It's not. And what we saw with this kid going across the country is that he was threatened. He was ticketed. They threatened to arrest him. They threw him out of the police department. So this is the problem, that if you have an elected official and that kind of exposure hits an elected official, they got some danger. They got something to lose, right? But with these political appointee police chiefs, and I've known a lot of really good guys that were police chiefs. When I was a kid,
Right.
This is, progressed to a point now. But, there's very rarely accountability when it comes from the citizenry. I do have to give a shout out to the Delaware River Port Authority Police Department. They made an illegal stop against me and my passenger a couple years back, and I reported it immediately. They acted upon it immediately. They reviewed the information, and they fired the officer immediately. Mm-hmm. And I have to give it, it really does depend on who is wielding this power, this governmental power. And it's a really nice thought to think that we're going to have honorable people in all of these positions.
Just wait, it gets deeper.
Right. Well, yeah. And
Much
go ahead.
So that was the 24th that was reported. The 25th, we find out that once again, Broward County cannot keep themselves out of the news. Apparently, an incident, Freedom Outpost reported on this, and prosecutors have just ruled that an officer slugged a skinny 14-year-old child in the face so hard it broke his nose in 2 places, quote, was justified.
Oh, I did see that.
Instead of being held accountable for quite literally smashing in the face of a 14-year-old Andrew Ostrowski, former lockup officer Darrell Bryant was allowed to quietly resign and keep his pension. So we're going to have links for that, but I wanted to get to this point. Broward County cannot stay out of the news, whether it be for their sheriffs falling to sleep, whether it be for their sheriffs hiding behind their cars while children are getting massacred in a gun-free zone, whether it be for them fighting with children and things like that. Guess how much the Department of Justice just awarded Florida law enforcement following the failure in Parkland?
Oh, I'm all ears.
$1 million. How about you do your job and then you get paid?
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, right. Because we know that all that money that they had before did so well. That grant money that they had before did so well. 17 children were massacred. So this is what it says about that. It says, ever wonder why it takes multiple trillions of dollars to run the federal government? And why no matter how large the federal budget gets, we never have enough? We all think of waste, fraud, and abuse, but there is another contributing factor. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Feds give money away like it is theirs to give. It is not. It's either ours or it's borrowed. Either way, we will be the ones to have to pay it back and pay interest on the massive and ever-growing debt. $1 million is a lot of money to you and me, but to the feds, it's almost incalculable. It's like you or me dropping a penny on the street. As it rolls away, would we chase the coin in our want to retrieve it? No, we wouldn't. Very few would do such a thing. And it's only a penny, Quote, the U.S. Department of Justice announced on Monday that it would be awarding $1 million to state and local law enforcement in Florida to help with added costs incurred from salary and overtime expenses while responding to February 14th massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. How nice. Once again, you get paid for your incompetence. So they're getting a bonus for standing outside and allowing children to be murdered.
This again is my the biggest problem I have. They get across to the public, oh, we're here to do this or we're here to do that, and it sounds good, touchy-feely. They get public support, and then this happens, and then instead of defunding them, or better yet, cleaning house and starting over again, $1 million. That's just great.
Yeah.
Way to go, Sheriff Bankster.
Wow. I know. There's so much going on that it is absolutely insane. Why are these people not being charged? They violated their oath.
Well, here again, they are sheriffs, and they're working under the sheriff. So I would agree with you. However, remember the case in D.C. where law enforcement has no duty nor obligation to protect you. Well, I urge if that argument, hold on, if that argument, yeah, but I happen to agree with it to a point. But again, it makes a further point that if law enforcement has no duty or nor obligation to protect you, and many of them do, don't get me wrong. My dear friend from New Jersey, he crawled underneath a burning car to get a lady out, and he would, and many people do. Put their lives on the line. So I don't want to discount that. But just saying that if they have no duty nor obligation to protect you, then if they don't, then that same determination should fall upon the government. In fact, it did in the beginning. Remember, I keep going back to this story about the Revolutionary War widow who approached Congress back in the early days of our republic and said, I'm destitute, and they were going to put a vote to the floor, and I think it was Senator Davy Crockett that said, I can't vote on this because nowhere in the Constitution does it give us the authority to take the people's money and redistribute it. He said it in other words, but that's the effect. Right. We have no right to redistribute the wealth. So when did all this happen? Oh, well, 1868 to 1925, 1933. And you see certain patterns that go on here. Very interesting. The history really speaks volumes, but the people are deaf. It's like that song that my wife loves so much, The Sound of Silence. It's just you try and get through to people and you try and show them where the problem is. You wonder why they can hide behind a car and not get fired or get in any trouble. And really, anybody who gets fired, any cop that has, and I don't agree with this, keep in mind, but I'm about to say it, any cop that hid behind a car, justifiably, according to the Supreme Court of the United States, if they are fired or reprimanded or in any way attacked, they have a Supreme Court precedent that says they have no duty nor obligation to protect.
Yeah.
So they have recourse. Because they had recourse.
Right, but why
did we pay them? What I'm telling you, because they had recourse. They are defended cowards by the Supreme Court law.
This is the way
our military.
There are a lot of great people in the force, like you were talking about.
Yes.
Here's my thing. You know what you're signing on for when you go through the police academy. A lot of people want us to feel sorry for police officers because they're targeted, but I'm going to tell you something. You already know what kind of a dangerous job that is and what you are looking to go into. You made that choice. No one made you make that choice. If you are too afraid to engage in those horrible threats that sometimes are out there, take a different career.
Or at very least, don't stop with this whole business where it's the police's job to protect us. That's not their job.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's the job. It's supposed to be the job of a constitutional sheriff and his deputies to act as interposer between other agencies and the people. And that doesn't mean, and people have often criticized this, they call it the county sheriff's movement. It's not a movement. This is as age old as the Republic.
It is.
And it doesn't mean that it's an evil thing. What it means is our founders knew that the centralized federal government could grow in power and it needed checks and balances. The job of a sheriff is to be a check upon that power. It doesn't mean that he's the supreme allied commander, he's the supreme being, but he is the most powerful law enforcement official representative in that county, and he exists to be an interposer. If they don't understand that, I mean, these are the tenets of the constitutional republic. This is what our founders warned us in quote after quote after quote after quote. I mean, I could post them all day about how overreaching and tyrannical a government could become without the proper checks and balances. So now we have these sheriffs that are working with the federal government, getting paid by the federal government. Therefore, all objectivity is gone and lost. We'll be back after a few words from our sponsors. Resurrect the Republic, Truth Radio broadcast on RBN.
This is the most transparent administration in history.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Which fills my sails across the sea of years, with no provision but in open face, oh, the straits of fear.
Welcome back, Resurrect the Republic, Truth Radio broadcast on RBN. Boy, brother. Ah, okay. So where were we, Lorri?
Oh, well, Tom, I believe we have a caller.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we do.
Who would that
Hi,
be?
Dr. Kelly. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I'm a new listener to RBN, and I really appreciate the wide variety of topics and subjects. And,
you're more than welcome. Welcome to RBN.
Yay. And I'd like you to rein me in because I really want to cover the waterfront. And you cover so many great topics just on this evening's show. I'd like to start with the gentleman, Tyler. And I served on my county grand jury over here in California. And I'll get back to that in a minute.
Ooh, California.
Yeah, and so there's a really cool position in each state, and it's called the state auditor. Okay. And that's where you blow the whistle on fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement of any public or state facility, like a state hospital, And if you've suffered retaliation or discrimination in the court system, you want to go to what's called the State Personnel Board and get a hold of their fax number so that you can confidentially send them documentation and information, and you can go to bat for someone that might be unlawfully incarcerated. And there was a gal in Wisconsin a couple of years ago that we were able to kind of rally around and have her get, a little bit of justice and a little bit of victory. And it's very curious that it was the Winnebago State Hospital where they were, holding people, drugging them, yada, yada. And I just need people to wake up, get a hold of the state auditor, get their fax number, start a dialogue, and put your complaint in and get your friends their freedom.
Wonderful. And if you'll hold on just a minute, Dr. Kelly, we do have Eric Hughes Jones. He's of courtroomwatch.org, everyone, and also known as the Freedom Screamer. And he is going to be updating us on the Tyler Whitman case. So that's why I ask, hopefully, that you'll hold on, Dr. Kelly, because Eric has really been phenomenal at getting the message out about Tyler Whitman case. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
Pretty good. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. There's no immediate change in his status. He's still being held with a release date pending in the very near future. That means in the next couple of weeks. So I was not necessarily expecting that they would just let him out 2 weeks before his release date. If they stick to the release date, that's our big objective right now, is to make sure they don't hold him for another 6 months for refusing to take the poison Seroquel. What we also would like to make sure stops immediately is forced medication. He is being forced to take the Seroquel still, and they don't seem to understand. I mean, I would like to think they don't understand that they're poisoning him, and give them the benefit of the doubt, but they have to know. And the more people that call and bring it to the attention of anybody and everybody they can in the South Carolina government, the better chance there is that they'll cease and desist the forced medication of Tyler. And we discussed on the previous broadcast, the Seroquel that he's being forced to take has already been proven in court to be fatal, deadly, lethal, causes infectious pneumonia, cardiac failure, and sudden death. And that's from the court documents in the lawsuit, where the manufacturer of Seroquel lost in court, lost to the state of South Carolina Attorney General. So it's absolutely mind-boggling how corrupt this country and each state in it has become. South Carolina at the top of the list, that they would be forcing a veteran of all people to take a poisonous medication when they have to know that their own state sued against the manufacturer, and $25 or $26 million, I believe, was the figure. So the more, look, once you've planted the seed in people's minds, I don't care whether it's a state senator, a U.S. senator, a congressman in South Carolina, we can't take care of everything. Lorri and I try to do our best, but she's got a life to lead, and we all have bills to pay and other things to do, as well as these activist cases that we do for no money. So anybody can do to chip in and share in the load. Many hands make light work. I encourage people to continue calling, think outside the box. Call the local media. I don't think they're going to pick up on his case because we know they're in the pocket of the big pharmaceutical manufacturers because of all the advertising that they do in the corporate media. So I don't put much faith in the media, but at least plant the seed in the minds of everybody in the South Carolina state government. We're doing, especially the governor, because apparently the governor is up for re-election this year. And
absolutely,
so
the Attorney General too, because the Attorney General was part of that lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken. If you'll hold on, Dr. Kelly, and hold on, Eric, we'll be right back after a couple of words from our sponsors. We want to continue hearing from you.
Welcome to the face.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
About 6 months ago, my wife bought Extendivite. She didn't tell me she was giving it to me. So after about 3 days, I said, maybe the weather's changed or something. I said, my legs feel really good. And she goes, well, I've been giving you this stuff, and it was the Extendivite. And you know that I'm about 75% better. I can actually climb stairs now, and I can get up out of chairs. I can even get down and, I have to work under a table or a computer table and work on a computer. I can actually get back up off the floor. You know what? It's an amazing product. I didn't think anything short of having surgery was going to help.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
Welcome back, Resurrect Republic Truth Radio broadcast of the Republic Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Tom Lackabara Stewart, joined by Lorri Anderson and Eric the Freedom Screamer. Good to have you guys all together on one show here. And I do believe we still have our guest on the line, if I'm not mistaken.
I hope so. Yep. Are you still there, Dr. Kelly?
There?
Yes, I am.
There
wonderful,
she is.
Wonderful. Do you have any suggestions to Eric that would help with Tyler Whitman's case, other than what you just stated a minute ago?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a long list, and before my fax machine self-destructed, I sent nearly 7,000 multiple-page facsimiles to City Council, the Health Department, the physician, the medical board in the particular state. There were some really interesting findings that you were discussing, looking into their oath of office, into their bonding information. And I'll be happy to give my voicemail number and go over this off the air as well. There are, there's the state medical board. There's that, have anybody, you don't even have to be in the state, just get the phone number of the state auditor with respect to state employees and institutions, and fraud, waste, abuse, or mismanagement They are the agency that investigates that. In California, they have what's called Assembly Bill 1234, that is ethics training for public officials, and there's a supplement for attorneys. There's a financial interest form in California called the California Form 700, and that is for elected officials, appointed officials. As a grand juror, we fill that out. It's a public document. Jerry Brown has one. Javier Becerra has one. You know, they have their oath of office. There are certificates of election. There are candidate statements that you can get from your registrar of voters and the clerk recorder. And there are just various documents, you know, government codes that allow you to freedom of information. California's got a Public Records Act, and there's just a great list of things that can help you, you know, pull together the true, full, correct name, what licenses they hold, what permits, you know, what types of insurance. And if you are hindered in any state court, you can go to the state personnel board in your area, and your toll-free Capitol switchboard for your congressional and your senatorial representatives is 877-762-8762. I'll say it again. 877-762-8762, and that is your national toll-free Capitol switchboard. And I would suggest faxing the governor's office in the state and to their Washington, D.C. address. You can get a list of the Department of Justice. You can find the investigative subcommittees. I feel like that gentleman Jeff in Idaho. I'd love to be like him when I grow up. And there are just...
Well, this is exactly what we need. This is what we exist to do. And I mean, we're a group effort here, and you're part of us now. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, and make sure
I'm
off the air.
I want to get people exactly where they need to go and what they need to do. And, I mean, I love it when Chris from Las Vegas calls in. You know, I want to...
Yeah, I'm chatting with him now.
Oh, nice. Yay.
He's in the chat room. He's in our chat room, by the way, at resurrecttherepublic.chattango.com. We operate a... Yeah.
I quit. I don't do internet anymore. I quit the smartphones.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm kind of like a new order Amish where I have the phone and the fax.
I don't blame
you. And so, I wanted to talk, too. I mean, I'd love to meet anybody else in the Northern California and Northern Nevada area. And, you know, I really want to get together and pull all the people together because it's time. You know, it's time to stand up for and exercise your rights and to support others that are doing the same thing.
Yes.
Well, if
your
you
God-given
would,
rights,
Kelly.
Your God-given rights that aren't given to you by government.
That's right.
Absolutely. And if you would, Dr. Kelly, once, not right this second, but once you are not live on air, if you would just leave your number with the producer, we will get that number and we will definitely be in contact with you.
Yep.
Cool. And I think it's on a sticky note, at least my mailing address up on the glass there at the station. And thank you so much again for everything that you're doing. And once you start to shine the light on these abuses of process, abuses of power, breach of oath, abrogations, deprivations under color of law, violations, and so forth. It's just going to be a grand, like a grand jury reawakening And there's so much power in Texas with your grand juries. And
God bless Texas.
You know, yeah. God bless the Republic and Texas for sure. And it's really time for these 6, you know, at least the 6 western states to pull together and to, you know, utilize each other's victories for their own. Like Senate Bill 649 was vetoed by Jerry Brown. It's a miracle. That vetoed the 5G. There would have been mass carnage.
Oh, thank God.
Horrific. And so I want everybody to know that. SB 649, my legislator was wonderful enough to send me a copy of that bill when my fax was still working just before it self-destructed.
So you're telling me, I want to make this sure and clear, you're telling me that Governor Jerry Brown actually squashed the 5G that was going to be allowed to microwave people?
Dude, I fasted, I prayed, I just begged God for mercy on these people and, you know, no more zombies. Yes, that is absolutely correct. And my legislator, I think it's Brian Dahle, D-A-H-L-E, faxed me a copy of his autographing that thing to veto it. That is the greatest in his whole political career, and I believe that God's hand moved his to do that, and I'm grateful. You know, I want all of the other states to be able to utilize that as a precedent to get that crap out of their town. You know, I went to the Board of Supervisors meeting the other day. People need to go there and speak up. The water utility removed 3 smarts meters off of the water utility just earlier today, and the gas smarts meter last May. And so, you know, I just thank you for helping people and sticking up for them and shining the light where it needs to be. And God bless the Republic and the Resurrect the Republic radio. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. And you know what, Tom? This is great. You and Eric as well know. You know, this is why we do what we do. This is exactly why we do what we do. And we meet some of the most amazing people.
I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for people like that.
Yeah, and I want everybody to come forward and get off your butt. There are 57 other counties in this California Republic, and there are umpteen counties over there in Nevada, and they also have the grand juries in their state constitution somewhere. It's in Article 1, Section 2324, and the funnest part is, you know, the sheriff's duty is to prevent a breach of the peace, and the California Penal Code 911 is the oath of the grand juror. I can't make this up.
Yeah.
that is poetic justice.
Oh, it is. It's just, it's the perfect icing on the cake, and, you know, I want the people to come together. The poor place is being torn in two with all the crap that goes on in Sacramento and, you know, just ridiculousness. I wish that they would just turn themselves in and call it a day and save us all the, you know, all the heartache.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But
yeah,
you know.
I agree with that too. Absolutely.
I got a couple of comments to make. I wanted a quick comment on the smart water meters. A friend of mine owns a couple of rental properties, and he had they came in and put, you know, he didn't think anything of it to resist, but he let him put the smart water meter in the property, in the rental property. He was out on the other side of town doing a job. He got a call from the water authority saying, "We're showing that you have a leak at one of your properties." He goes racing over to the property thinking there's going to be some kind of flood. It's dripping one drip every 3 seconds, and that registered think about how scary that is. That registered from his rental property to the water authority, who called him off a job to run across town and take 2 hours for a trip every 3 seconds. How's that? Back to Tyler real quick. I want to encourage people. I like the fact that our caller is using the fax machine. That's good that we have different people doing different things. Many, different, a variety of approaches is great. The people who do not have a fax machine and who are doing the email, continue to send emails in particular and handwritten letters if you can have it notarized and make a copy to keep for yourself. But emails are good because it will lay a trail of evidence that, if the judge gets 1,000 emails on this case for Tyler, there's going to be no way she can deny that she didn't read some of those emails. It'll be impossible to say that the 1,000 emails she failed to read them. It won't be credible in front of a jury or any court. I mean, they won't be able to they'll be stretching it so far they won't be able to get away with it. So continue to send the emails, continue to make the phone calls. I've gotten reports from several of our listeners saying they got through. One of our listeners got through to the owner and spoke with the owner of the facility for several minutes, and this is good that we keep putting the heat on. So once they know that we know that they're poisoning this man, this Navy veteran, Tyler Whitman, I don't see how can they deny in future proceedings, i.e., hopefully a lawsuit, that Tyler will be able to sue for being forced to take this poison medication. And if we can prove that the agents and agencies involved had to have known by just the sheer volume of emails that come in, that would definitely help his future lawsuit, his future proceedings, and justice against these people that are poisoning him. That's got to stop. If sticking to the release date in 2 weeks is kind of secondary, the poison pill that they're forcing him to take and threatening him if he doesn't take it, that's got to stop. So keep the phone calls coming. We gave the numbers out in the previous broadcast last week, so people just refer to those broadcasts. And, we'll give them out again in the future. But, it's the Tyler being held at the Passionate Care Home. And it's Judge. We need a lot of emails to go to the Chief Judge, Alice Richter, I believe was her name. We gave her out her. She's the Chief Administrative Judge for the state of South Carolina. She's kind of the overlord of all the lower witches. Like Amy McCullough, the judge who's ordering that Tyler be held and ordering that he be taking that medication. And, if we get time, I want to make a couple of comments on Lori's story that shared the news report she did before. Excellent report. Think of how many precedents are being set by this exercise. First of all, this is truly the government terrorizing the people. It's in Wisconsin, was it? This is true government. If you research the original word terrorism and terror, it was the original dictionary definition. The old English dictionary definition is government by intimidation. That's what the word terror was created to describe. It wasn't created to describe somebody throwing a hand grenade into a crowd or shooting a gun off. It was a word to describe government intimidation of its people. And this is truly what you see. So it's truly a terrorist. They got the military on the streets. That's violating our classic posse comitatus principle. You've got the federal government exceeding its jurisdiction and trampling all over the states with this intimidating, exercise, all these federal agencies. You've got the private-public partnerships, which is equal to fascism. You've got intelligence gathering. They're going to be able to go up to every door of every house. Imagine, people are stupid. They'll start talking. Oh, hi, yeah, it's just me and my daughter here. Yeah, we were waiting to go to work. We're leaving at 5 o'clock. She works the night shift, blah, 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 blah. They're going to, a lot of people are stupid enough to spew their beans all to, they'll have a party with all the intelligence they're going to be able to gather from this door-to-door health and wellness check.
And while they're chit-chatting, do you believe in the Second Amendment, or do you have any weapons in your home?
Absolutely.
Are all your children vaccinated? Any unvaccinated children in the home? No, people need to get a hold of that toll-free number for your state auditor there in Wisconsin, and they will be more than happy to address that situation. And I think that if you bring enough attention to it and put enough pressure on the lowest to the highest public official, that you can get that thing gone. Because it's going to be wasting a fortune on nothing. potentially.
Right, when it could be going to feeding homeless or
you may almost
helping
make a case for me.
homeless children or veterans or whatever the case may be.
Lori, my next point was going to be how many CPS cases are going to be open because there was no fire alarm in the house. They said they're going to ask that question. Do you have a working smoke alarm in the house, Mrs. Johnson? And if Mrs. Johnson
None of your
says,
business.
well, of course, that would be the preferred answer, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're going to be scared of the soldier with the gun, and he's going to say, do you have a smoke detector? And they're going to say no. Open immediately, go in the little database, and I guarantee CPS is going to open a case for parental neglect because there's not a proper smoke detector in the house. How about the other cases that can be open? Maybe they smell something funny. Maybe they see something, a gun on the table, a pistol. How about the
that's exactly what got the gal Jennifer into the system in the first place, is that they just started violating her rights at that level, and I think it did involve kids and CPS, and that organization needs to be audited by the Wisconsin State Auditor, ASAP. People, get on it. You don't have to be from the state to initiate the complaint, but it helps. And they are there to look into it. Get it investigated, people. Come on, rise up, exercise your rights.
You're a great point.
Well, I
two
appreciate
more,
that.
You guys close out the show. Two more quick points. How about the dark Luciferian name, Operation Dark Sky? How dark and beautiful is that? And last one, spend lots of our money. And how much money do you think they're going to, of our money, do you think they're going to spend on this? So that's the last one. So, by the way, people in Wisconsin, get out there and film everything. Get your video cam, get your cell phone camera, take pictures and a video of everything you can. Go to the staging area. It's going to be probably at the local baseball stadium. Go down there to the staging area. You'll see all the drones will be there, and you get all the bootlickers and the agencies and big buses, and everything will be there. Go to the and video everything so it can be put up for the entire world to see who the terror, because this is truly the government and the military terrorizing that community.
That's right, and don't talk to strangers, don't talk to foreigners, don't talk to agents.
But record all of them.
Yeah.
And be polite.
So
be polite. Make lemons out of lemonade.
Yes, yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Make lemonade out of lemons. Excuse me, I messed that one up, didn't I, guys?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So
when
we're
it's
at the point...
dark, if it does go dark, make bonfires. That's so fun. Cook out.
We're closing. We're going to be close to the end of the show, and I do need to do a call out for those of you that are listening that appreciate our work. We are going to be moving to the daytime time slot. Previously, that was Mike Herzog's. It'll be 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, so it'll be in the afternoon out there on the East Coast. And for those of you that want to support this show, we're all finally coming back together after my brief hiatus. And we really would appreciate your support. If you go to resurrecttherepublic.com and click on the PayPal link at the top right portion of your page, or if you don't do e-commerce, if you call into the network, 1-800-313-9443, Mike can walk you through how you can send it to the Round Rock address, and it can make it to me that way too. So we do need equipment. Lori is going to need some help. We're going to need to pay the bills here to keep the lights on, whistles going, and you know, I'm operating on a shoestring here to keep the show up and running. So I really do need your support. I lost over a year of my life in this fight for freedom. I don't regret it, but at this point, you know, I hate to have to keep putting it out there, but I really do need your support. You can also go to paypal.com. My email is PayPal is tomlacavara@gmail.com, or it's the RTR Truth Media, paypal.me/RTR Truth Media. It's easiest just going to the Resurrect the Republic website if you can. We appreciate you for that, and for our callers and all the folks that have chimed in tonight. CFR, I see you out there. I'm operating off of 2 devices. Can't do that right now. Anyway, folks, I really do appreciate all of the support that you've in riding with us. Eric and Lori have been instrumental in keeping this thing alive. And, you know, I have them both here, and I love them both, and I need to thank them both, as well as John Statmiller for giving us this platform to be able to share the information that we bring to you. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, Lorri. God bless you for everything that you've done while I was gone.
You're more than welcome, Tom. And I want to remind everyone, too, if you want to check out my Google Plus, all you have to do is type in LorriAnderson.com, LorriAnderson.com, and you'll get some videos and different things that I put up there as well. I had a fun one today, didn't I, Tom? But
yes, yes.
And then, of course, you can see Eric's work also at courtroomwatch.org. And Tom, you know, we're just privileged to be able to help you in continuing to get the truth out to people. We have such wonderful callers, and we appreciate it, each and every one of them. Eric's phenomenal. He is such a wonderful individual, and he's like a bulldog with a bone when he gets on cases. It is just amazing.
Oh God, yes! It's just incredible. Incredible.
I couldn't do it without you guys. Could not do it without your guys' help. Definitely, it's many involved. The creator, number one, and all of you guys contribute. You know, great deal. So appreciate you.
You know,
Yes.
The Bible says there's many members, but there's one body.
Yeah. I would like to try and close out with the quote that I want people to check out who haven't heard it. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have. Very soon, every American will be required to register their biological property in a national system designed to keep track of the people and that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. By such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda, which will affect our security as a chargeback, our fiat paper currency. Every American will be forced to register or suffer being unable to work and earn a living. They will be our chattel, and we will hold the security interest over them forever by operation of the law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions. Colonel Mandel House. Folks,
Ouch.
Look it up if you haven't heard it. This is a long time ago. Colonel Mandel House. And this was, if people don't know your history, you will be doomed not only to repeat it, but to suffer the ignorance of not knowing it. And I don't mean that as a criticism against people who haven't heard of this quote. But we have to be diligent. And what we do on this network is we share the truth. And we allow these statements and these pieces of history to speak and stand for themselves. We'll look forward to moving to this new time slot. I hope that you follow us over there. God bless all of you. Resurrect the Republic, Truth Radio Broadcast, Tom Lackabara Stewart, Lorri Anderson, Eric, the Freedom Screamer, Hughes. God bless America and the Republic.
And as always, everyone, watch your backs, check your facts, Semper Fidelis, and have a wonderful night.
And scream freedom.
Scream freedom.